What is going on, guys? JT43 here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to replace brake calipers on a 2011 to 2016 Scion TC, and possibly brake lines too. I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to jack my car up and I'm going to take my wheels off. I'm going to start off with my front left. What we're pretty much trying to do is just completely take the caliper apart. I'm just going to take the floating caliper off. So it's going to be these two bolts up here. So the one on top here, and then if we go on the bottom, the bolt right here. And I believe they are either 14s or 13s. I think they're 14s, but I'll double check real quick. So it is a 14, so you're gonna grab a 14mm socket and a wrench or a power tool, whatever you want to use, and loosen this guy up. So I got the top loosened. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the bottom guy. Okay, and I cracked these guys free. So once you crack them free, you're gonna go ahead and pretty much just bring them out. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna take these two 14s out, and then that will drop the caliper. And so once you have those out, you'll be able to just slide your floating caliper out, just like this. Yeah, you can just kind of see in there. It's not that bad, but for some reason, this thing just doesn't, it wants to kind of seize up. Anyway, we're gonna put this guy over here for now. So I have the caliper hung up from an S-clip right now. Now, just to kind of mention, if you are just replacing the caliper, I guess you wouldn't really have to take the bracket off because, you know, you're using the same thing, but mine came with a whole kit, and I guarantee you yours is gonna come with a whole kit too, so it's gonna come with the bracket and the caliper. And because it has these kind of push pins or push pin slide-ins here, I would definitely recommend replacing your bracket too. If you're gonna replace your caliper, you might as well replace your bracket too. If you wanna replace pads, that depends on the last time that you changed them, but if I'm being completely honest, if you're gonna replace your caliper, you might as well replace your bracket as well. All right, so now to take off your bracket, you're gonna come back here, and you're gonna see these two bolts. So you're gonna see this guy up here, and you're gonna see this guy down here. And they're gonna be two 17mm bolts. So once again, that's this guy up here and this guy down here. You know, rust has just kind of been caking on. Look at this bird that just went by. Look at this bird. What's this dude doing? What's this dude doing? Hey, come here. All right, anyway, let's take these guys off. All right, so we'll go ahead and just crack this guy. Use your hand, I guess, but I don't recommend doing that. That's pretty bad. Once you get those out, you'll be able to pull your bracket out. All right, so after I took out those two 17mm, my bracket came out. So now that this is all out and taken care of, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side real quick. All right, so now that I have my wheel off, I'll go ahead and take off those two 14s on top. Now that I have the floating caliper off, I'll go ahead and take my bracket off, which is those two 17s. All right, and now that I have everything off, this next clip, I'm probably gonna try and do it in one go. So you're gonna grab a 10mm wrench, and you're gonna crack this bleeder screw open just enough to where it starts leaking brake fluid. I'm gonna show you a trick that I used to not get rid of all my brake fluid, and it's a good way to not make a huge mess, and you'll still have brake fluid in your reservoir. Make sure you have something on the bottom here to catch the brake fluid. You can see I have a pan here just to kind of catch stuff. Yeah, so all we're gonna pretty much do and crack this loose until it starts leaking a little bit. Okay, so I have it cracked loose a little bit. So right now it is leaking brake fluid. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna go inside of your car. You're gonna get yourself either a crowbar or something to push the brake pedal down. Do it slowly so that you don't spray a bunch of brake fluid everywhere, but you're gonna push this slowly down. You're gonna use your seat to kind of keep it in place. I'll show you what I mean. So kind of like this. So I have it stuck up against my seat. All I did was move my seat up, and now the brake pedal is pushed down. So now what that will do is it will stop the flow here. So you can see there's no more brake fluid coming out of here. It's just dripping from a little mess that I made. And now, since it's pressurized, not really pressurized, but there's pressure on the brake, brake fluid's not gonna come streaming down. But yeah, now with this not spewing any more fluid, I'm gonna go ahead and close this up. So I'll grab my 10mm and I'll just close that bleeder screw, and then we'll go ahead and start taking the brake line off. All right, so we are now on the right side of the car. We're gonna go ahead and take this guy off. Now, I recommend spraying some WD-40 so that you're not going into this dry, because if you do strip these brake lines, it's gonna be a big issue. You're gonna have to replace them. So I recommend spraying some WD-40 or some PB. What you're gonna go ahead and get is a fully crest wrench. So what that means is this one can hold more of the bolt rather than this guy. The Husky's a little bit better, but a normal wrench only holds so much. This guy kind of has more of a grip, so it's perfect for brake lines. Once you have yours sprayed up or you're confident it's not going to strip, you can go ahead and slip the wrench onto the bolt, and then I'm going to go ahead and try and spin it. Now, when you loosen it up, you want to make sure that the brake line itself isn't spinning with the nut. You want to make sure that the nut is spinning individually. So let's go ahead and try it. Okay, so I was able to crack mine loose. It did make a big crack, but as you can see, my brake line wants to move kind of with it. So what you want to do is just keep shaking it back and forth until it kind of wants to move freely by itself, because we're gonna have to use the top. We're only changing the bottom. But if you think you got it, you can just go ahead and start loosening the nut fully. So what it does is there's threads in here that will separate the top from the bottom, but we want to separate the top first. But I guess before we do that, we can take this clip out. Yeah, we should probably take the clip out first, now that I'm thinking about it. Take this clip out, you're gonna grab some pliers, and the clip is right up top here. It's this kind of little flange here. So I'll grab a good grip on it. And then you're just gonna shimmy it out. So you see it's coming out now. I'm gonna try and just do that again. Try and just get this clip out. Oh, it fell. And this is the clip that we were looking for. So this guy sits in there like that. You can see there's a ridge on the top and it's bowed. So when we put it back in, we'll put it back in this way, but this is what the clip looks like. All right, and so now that we got this fully loosened, my brake line is free. Well, it's not entirely free, but it's free from the threads of the brake line itself. My brake hose is free. So the only thing we have to do left, because our caliper is disconnected, you'll see right over here, right next to your coilover, you have a 12mm bolt. I do recommend spraying these with WD-40, because if these break or if they crack or anything like that, it's not really good, because then you can't get your brake hose out and you'll have to cut it and you can't put the new one on. So you're gonna have to undo this 12mm here, and then you're gonna have to undo this 12mm right here. So we'll go ahead and remove this guy right here, and then we'll crack this guy loose, which is probably gonna be a little bit difficult. Nope, there we go. All right, so I'm just gonna take these guys off real quick. All right, so once you have this guy out, you're gonna take your ABS wire away and then pull your brake line section out. Oh, there we go. So down and then under, and then this is what it looks like. And then this guy over here just kind of pops out just like that. So with the brake hose, let me get the ABS out of here, because it has to route underneath the ABS wire. So this is your ABS wire, this is your brake hose. So I'm gonna take my S-clip off of my caliper, and then I'll get the caliper out of here. There we go. I got my old caliper and my old brake hose right there on the ground. So you could see here just how crusty and just dirty this fucking thing was, bro. It was getting ready to seize, so I'm glad we're replacing it. But yeah, let's keep going. So on the brake hose itself, you'll see these two kind of like, it's not a perfect circle. That's because underneath here there is a specific way it has to go. The way that you'll know how to do that is if you put it back into this kind of like groove hole thing, you'll have to pretty much find the groove that it sits in. So this one wants to sit in. All right, so after fighting with this thing for a little bit, I found the groove. So you can see how there's this gap here right now. If you just kind of tilt it to the same direction I have, it will simply just slide in like that. And then once it is slid in like that, you can go ahead and grab that clip, put that clip in. But when you put that clip in, you want the ridge to face up, basically how you took it out. So you want the ridge to face up. You're gonna start the clip in while pushing up on the brake hose so that it stays in that slot. You're gonna get it in a little bit more, and then what you're gonna do is kind of just tap it in place. So you tap it into place just like that. So now it stays into that kind of ridge and it doesn't pop out. And now that we started the threads, we can go ahead and kind of just tighten this brake line back up. So when you're tightening the brake line, or sorry, when you're tightening the brake line back up, you kind of want to just snug it up for now. Obviously, you'd want to be careful and not strip it, because once again, if you strip it, it's going to be a really difficult time, because now you have to make whole new lines, you have to cut it, and then you have to make threads, or just take it to a shop and they will do it for you. But you know, that's kind of pricey. So I would say just take it slow. Obviously, when you're like, you know, beginning to tighten it, it's not going to get super tight, so you can go ahead. But as soon as you start to feel snug, just kind of feel it, you know what I mean? Don't crank down on it, but definitely make sure that it's tight, because this is holding in your brake fluid. So now that we have my brake line tightened to the brake hose, we're gonna go ahead and put the, I guess they're kind of like tie downs, I don't really know, but the first thing we're gonna wanna do is slip the brake hose underneath the ABS wire. And then from there, we're going to get this first gold piece, and we're going to have to kind of line it up on top here. So this gold piece kind of sits on top here, just like the old one. So just like that, gold piece sits in, and then the ABS sits on top of it, like so. Just like that. And then you want the two holes to match up together so that they can get tied down. All right, and so now that we have these guys tightened down, we'll go ahead and tighten this guy down. So it's pretty easy. We'll go ahead and wrap this guy over. There is a groove right there and the thread's right there. All right, and so now that we have this last 12mm on, we're gonna go ahead and grab our caliper. Okay, so now if your new caliper came in a full assembly like this, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the floating caliper off of the bracket, and we're gonna just attach the bracket for now. So how you do that is you take these tube nuts off, and taking these two nuts off will take the caliper off of the bracket, because like I just said, we just want the bracket for now. Okay, so now that we have the floating caliper off of the bracket, we're gonna go ahead and install the bracket using the old, because my new caliper doesn't come with new ones, but the old 17mm bolts. All right, so now with the new bracket installed, what we're gonna have to do now is just transfer all of the brake pads and brake clips over to our new bracket. If you need some reference, I have a video doing front brakes. You can just skip to the part where I'm adding pads and clips in, and you can just follow it that way. So what I'm gonna do now is just transfer all my pads and my clips over to this bracket. Okay, so after you put your brakes on, whether that be new or you're just transferring over from your old calipers, which I am, because these are pretty fresh brakes, we're gonna go ahead and attach the banjo bolt to the new caliper and then put the caliper onto the bracket, but I will show you how to do the banjo bolt. All right, so on second thought, I'm actually gonna put the caliper on first, because it is quite difficult to put the banjo bolt on before putting the caliper back on. So let me go ahead and just quickly throw this caliper on. All right, so now for the banjo bolt, which is going to be this guy over here. I don't recommend touching this with dirty hands. I know I am, but I don't have any gloves, and you know, I just want to get this done. But anyway, we're gonna be using this line for the back of here. So pretty much what you want to do is put a copper washer between the bolt, just like that, and then you're gonna slide it through the one end. We're gonna attach it that way. So you're gonna slide it through the one end like that. It will hold. And then you're gonna put the other copper washer on the other end, just like this. So once you have the assembly like that, I know our brake hose is gonna face up. So what I'll do is I'll come around. It's gonna be a little bit difficult, but I will come around I'll pretty much set the screw where the banjo bolt is. All right, so now I have my banjo bolt in. So pretty much just like this. So you have the nut, you have a copper washer, you have the hose fitting, and then you have another washer. And so what I mean by the up is the brake hose obviously goes up this way, so it has travel both sides. So you want to make sure that the brake line is up once you find a pretty comfortable position. So I'm going to leave mine there. You're pretty much going to tighten the bolt down, and then you're going to torque it to 25 foot-pounds. Mind you, this is adjustable too, so if you feel like there's not enough slack coming through here, you can always pull it through the grommets, and you can always have more slack in other areas if need be. But I think this right here, it looks like it's kinked, but it's really not. I followed exactly how the old brake line or brake hose went, and this is how it goes. So you're going to tighten that down, and once you have that tightened down, we'll talk about the torque specs for the rest of it. And then once you have that set, we're pretty much ready for bleeding. All right, so for the two 17mm bracket nuts, which are this guy up here and the guy down there, they're going to be 79 pound-feet of torque. All right, and the torque specs for the caliper bolts, which are these guys right here, is 42. So torque them down to 42, and once you have everything torqued down, we could focus on bleeding the brakes. Okay, so this is a quick voiceover. Apologies if the audio sounds like shit, but I decided to not record the caliper bleeding process. Now, I am going to link a video in the description, a really good video of somebody showing how to bleed brakes. Bleeding brakes is not specific to the Scion, so you can follow any video you'd like. The reason why I chose not to record it is because mine went horribly wrong. Not because of the brake system, it's just, you know, I was learning how to bleed brakes and it just wasn't really going that well in terms of the tools that I was using and the pump that I was using, because I was trying to avoid doing it old school style because it was just me. I didn't have anybody to help me. So I did try to record it, but I just kept having to retry again to the point where I just had to put the camera down and really focus on getting the bleeding done. So the car is finished. Everything that I showed in the video pretty much works. I just couldn't film the bleeding process the way that I wanted to because of how wrong everything went. But yeah, so besides not showing the bleeding process, like I said, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below of a good video that describes how to do it. But other than that, I mean, that was how to install calipers on a 2011 to 2016 Scion TC, and also brake lines. If you did enjoy the video, or if this helped you out in any other way, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.